The war had gone on so long that Commander Elias Vera could no longer recall the year it began. Dates blurred into casualty lists and fleet orders, into endless repairs of starships that would never truly heal. Above the scarred planet of Elithos, the sky itself seemed tired, its orbit littered with the debris of shattered cruisers and lifeless escape pods. For humanity, the Sarathi were demons, strange silver-eyed beings who struck without mercy and claimed entire colonies as their own. For the Sarathi, humanity was no better. Expansionists, resource thieves, relentless in their hunger for territory. Neither side remembered how the conflict started. Neither cared. The war had become its own reason. Elias had risen through the ranks because he endured. He did not dream of glory. He obeyed orders, survived battles, and buried his friends. Now, at 40, with hair streaked gray by exhaustion more than age, he commanded the frigate Resolute, stationed above the planet that had once been fertile, now reduced to mud and fire. On a routine ground sweep, something unexpected broke through the monotony of blood and duty. His squad captured a Sarathi prisoner, not a hardened soldier, but a girl, small, fragile, and most disturbingly, smiling. The girl sat in the holding bay, her wrists bound with energy cuffs meant to restrain warriors twice her size. She did not struggle. She did not even blink when the guards barked orders in a language she could not possibly understand. Instead, she watched, calm, patient. Her strange silver eyes reflected the dim light of the ship as though holding entire galaxies inside them. "She's no soldier," Lieutenant Caro muttered, pacing the chamber. "Could be a spy, or bait, or a survivor," Elias replied. He hated how weary his voice sounded. "She's still just a child." The argument died when alarms blared through the Resolute. A Sarathi strike force had slipped past defenses. Explosions rocked the frigate. Soldiers scrambled, weapons drawn, bracing for a fight that promised no mercy. And then she smiled. It was such a small thing. Lips curving upward, serene and unafraid. But the effect was cataclysmic. Every rifle hummed once, then fell silent. Power cells drained. Engines sputtered out. Even the massive cannons in orbit froze mid-charge. Silence spread across the battlefield. A silence so complete, so unnatural, it was terrifying. "What the hell?" Caro whispered, staring at his useless rifle. Around them, hardened soldiers fumbled, panicked, shouted into dead radios. Elias could only look at the girl. She was still smiling. And somehow, impossibly, the war had just stopped. Panic spread faster than fire. Across the Resolute, officers shouted into dead comms. Engineers tore open control panels, and soldiers slammed rifle butts against unresponsive triggers. Nothing worked. Not engines, not shields, not weapons. The ship had been turned into a floating coffin, and yet outside no Sarathi fire rained down either. Their ships were silent, their guns cold. "She did this," one of the guards hissed, eyes wide with fear. "It's some kind of weapon." "She's the key!" "She's a child," Elias snapped, though doubt gnawed at him. Children did not shut down fleets. Children did not hold entire wars hostage with a smile. The Council's orders came through minutes later via courier drone. Secure the prisoner. Transport her to Central Command for study. The word study lingered like poison. Elias had seen what study meant. Vivisection, experimentation, breaking things to understand how they worked. Before he could respond, another transmission broke through. This one Sarathi. They demanded the girl's return, calling her the child of accord. Their voices trembled with something that might have been reverence or fear. "She belongs to them," Caro said bitterly. "Give her back before this spirals." "And if she is the weapon?" Another officer countered. "You just hand her over to the enemy?" Elias stood in the center of the storm, staring at the girl. She gazed back at him, still smiling faintly, as if the chaos around her didn't exist. For the first time in years, Elias felt something unfamiliar on the battlefield. Hope. But hope, he knew, was often the most dangerous weapon of all. The standoff erupted in orbit above Elithos. Human fleets and Sarathi armadas converged, neither firing a shot, but both poised to strike the moment the other made a move. The girl had silenced their weapons once, but no one trusted that it would last. A detachment of human marines stormed the Resolute's hangar, weapons trained on Elias and his squad. "Commander Vera," their captain barked, "by order of the Council, you will surrender the prisoner immediately." At the same time, Sarathi dropships descended like spears of fire, broadcasting the same ultimatum: return the child of Accord. Between them stood the girl, barefoot, bound, her gaze fixed not on soldiers but on Elias, waiting. Elias's heart thundered. He could obey and hand her over, condemning her to become a tool of war. He could resist and risk annihilation from both sides, or he could trust her. Stand down, Elias ordered quietly. The Marines hesitated. Guns wavered. The girl took a single step forward, then another. The hangar trembled as Sarathi soldiers breached the far wall, weapons raised. A dozen barrels pointed at her heart, and she smiled. Light, not blinding but soft, radiant, warm, poured from her expression. Rifles fell from hands. Soldiers dropped to their knees, some weeping, others whispering prayers in languages alien and human alike. Hatred drained from faces like water from broken glass. For the first time in centuries, the battlefield knew silence, not of death, but of peace. Elias felt tears sting his eyes. This was no weapon. This was a choice. And he had chosen. When the light faded, no shot had been fired. Human and Sarathi soldiers alike lowered their weapons, their faces dazed as if waking from a fever dream. Engines flickered back to life, yet no ship moved to attack. The war machine, for once, had forgotten how to run. Command demanded answers, their encrypted orders flooding in once communications returned. Bring the girl to Central Command at once. Disobedience will be treated as treason. Elias deleted the message. For the first time in his career, he chose silence over obedience. He led her aboard a small shuttle, piloting it away from the Resolute. Neither side pursued. Perhaps they couldn't. Perhaps they wouldn't. The fleets drifted apart like predators suddenly uncertain of the kill. Beside him, the girl watched the stars. She had no words he could understand, yet her presence said enough. Peace wasn't a treaty or a surrender. It was a choice made in the quiet after the gun stopped speaking. For now, humanity and the Sarathi had seen a glimpse of it, and that glimpse was enough to terrify them both. Months later, stories spread like wildfire across both empires. Soldiers swore they still dreamed of the girl's smile, waking with weapons in their hands, feeling heavier as though burdened by unseen weight. Some whispered of her as a saint, others cursed her as a threat. Elias kept to the shadows, ferrying her from world to world, always a step ahead of those who wanted to claim her. He knew the war was not over. Fear would return, greed would rise. But he also knew one thing. The alien girl smiled, and the universe itself held its breath. Hi, how are you? Don't worry, I'm here, I'm doing Lahore only for you. Body digestion as well. Emotional Hindi Sachi story. Kahaniya romantic story. Moral kahaniya. Emotion.